I broke up with my boyfriend because of his drinking problem. Kinda long, but my boyfriend and I have been dating for 5 months and known each other for about 10 months total. At the beginning of our relationship we were off to a bumpy start because of his drinking, and I brought this up to him almost immediately. I let him know that if he continued to drink in this manner, I couldn't see myself being in a relationship with him. I told him that I respected his decision, but that I was going to remove myself, to which he assured me that he was going to make a change in order to not lose me. He did mention though that I would have to be a little patient with him in the beginning, but that eventually he would change. We carried on and got to know each other better and got to spend many great moments together. He's honestly the first man I truly love and would do almost anything for. I still dealt with quite a few embarrassing and cringy situations that I found myself in because of his drinking habits, but little by little these events became a monthly instead of weekly thing. Flash forward to a few months later and us being in a long-distance relationship. He was good up until 2 weeks ago when he went to visit family. He told me how he got blackout drunk and said something to his brother-in-law. My BF says that he couldn't remember what it was, but it was seemingly bad enough for his BIL to almost want to kick him out of the house. I told him that he had to make a greater effort to not get so blacked out, to which he agreed. The issue with my BF is that he can go weeks without drinking, but as soon as he touches the bottle again he gets so wasted he can't remember anything. Yesterday he got blacked out again with a friend of his. Long story short, he called me from an unknown number which turned out to be a borrowed gas station phone. He was in another county with his friend, nowhere to be found. My BF didn't have his keys or wallet on him and I was working during the time he called me, but I still managed to help him get a ride home. Mind you, I live in a completely different state 9 HRS away. Finally when he got home, what does he do? He resumed drinking with his buddy and getting shit-faced. Today was the final straw after going through so many scenarios of this nature with my BF. I love him to death and feel like a piece of my heart is being ripped out, but I don't think I can do this anymore. I called him to break up with him since I can't see him face to face, and he made me feel guilty for breaking up with him during his darkest moments. I got upset and told him that what he was saying was manipulative, to which then he apologized. I reminded him of all the instances in which I cared for him being blacked out, including the time he vomited on himself and pissed the bed. Those were 2 separate occasions BTW. I don't want to regret losing him, and I feel like I could have given him the ultimatum of either going to therapy or quitting alcohol, but I don't even know anymore. Would it be wise to continue with him and see if he can improve? Comments. Maybe once he does a year in recovery. But even then, probably best to just date a normal person who lives near you. Speaking as an alcoholic, you did exactly the correct thing here. You're correct that he's being manipulative, and he hasn't yet taken responsibility for his actions and his role in his own recovery. You're best off walking away, as otherwise, as you're already beginning to demonstrate with the gas station phone shenanigans, he'll end up depending on you more and you'll feel more and more guilty if you don't help him. You've only been dating 5 months. I appreciate that this still hurts a lot, but you shouldn't start throwing ultimatums at a situation as serious as this. You should walk away. Best of luck to you, and to your ex. No, it wouldn't be wise to continue to see him. In fact, it would be pretty damn stupid to get back together with him. It is not your responsibility to fix him. You are not responsible for keeping him sober. You gave him a chance, and he screwed it. Time for him to learn that actions have consequences. And honestly, it has only been 5 months. Cut your losses and move on. Story 2. How am I supposed to deal with the breakdown of my marriage while pregnant? I thought I married a good man, and admittedly I was grumpy and not really able to be a good partner during about a month of my first trimester. I wanted to die every day, and I had intrusive thoughts about whether I could trust my husband. Being left and cheated on while pregnant has always been one of my big fears. I am too tired to go into the details, but basically, I have been trying to make it up to him for the last few months how hormonal and unreasonable I was during the beginning of pregnancy. He was also in a hole during this time, by the way. He shut down and got very mean. I have poured all my effort and love into him, and told him point blank that if he doesn't want to try and move forward I would understand. He reassured me that he loved me, he wants to move on from everything. A few weeks ago he told me he had done some stuff behind my back with porn/talking to other women. He said he wanted to prove that I could trust him and all that. I also found out he had been applying to other places to live behind my back, all while lying to my face and telling me how important I am to him and how he loves me. I've tried so hard to communicate and he seems to just get nastier and nastier. Well, today his card declined when he had just got paid. I knew something was up. He finally admitted he had put a deposit down on a place and was planning to tell me the day he moved out. I'm so hurt and confused. We literally have an appointment for marriage counseling tomorrow. He is treating me like absolute trash. His reasoning for not telling me was he wanted to avoid a fight. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be mad that you wanna move out while I'm pregnant? Obviously. He says he doesn't wanna ruin our marriage or see other people, but how in the world did he expect to just betray and lie to me over and over and not ruin our marriage? I'm so confused, hurt, heartbroken and embarrassed. I don't know how to even begin to process my worst fears coming true, and I'm struggling with feeling like this is all my fault for being hormonal, although at this point I know I don't deserve to be treated like this. I feel like I put everything into making it work and was under the impression he was too, while he was looking for an out. I'm angry as at him and at myself for making a baby with someone who clearly has zero love or respect for me. I'm so sad for our baby. I feel like I failed them already and they're not even here. How could I be so stupid? I'm feeling very suicidal, although the baby and not wanting to hurt my mom are keeping me here. I'm just looking for advice on how to deal with this. Story 3. My boyfriend lied to me about being disloyal twice. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2.5 years and have lived together for over 2 years now. We have a cat together and he bought me a car. I'd say we're pretty serious. A year ago I was going to the bathroom in the middle of the night and his phone was on the counter and I had a gut feeling to look. I know I invaded his privacy and I shouldn't have. When I opened his phone, it was open on his Google search history, which had been cleared. Of course I immediately think he'd been watching porn. When he woke up the next morning I had told him and asked why his search history was empty. He told me he didn't know and that he hadn't been on it. After a while of prying at him, he eventually admitted that he was going to watch porn. We've had a conversation in the beginning of our relationship that we aren't comfortable with each other doing that. He told me he felt guilty about it and stopped himself. We had been struggling in our relationship at that time, not sexually though. I told him if he did something like that again I'd be done. About a week ago I had that same gut feeling and I looked through his phone, invading his privacy again, and I know I'm in the wrong for that. I found on FB that he had been looking at multiple girls, some random, some he knows, and one of his exes. A few days later I asked him if he looked at other girls online without telling him I seen that he had. He promised me he didn't. A few days later I told him I had found something on his phone and asked him what he thought I had found, and he said he had no idea. I told him I'd seen all the girls in his history and he denied it at first, but I kept prying again and eventually he admitted that he looked at those girls because they're hot. Throughout the conversation he was playing with his words and trying to avoid my questions. We have been struggling sexually lately because I have high anxiety and my sex drive has been low recently, so he isn't getting what he needs sexually, but I don't believe he should have been checking out other girls online. Sorry that is so long, hopefully someone has read it all and can give advice. LOL, how do I move past this? Should I trust him again? I'm lost with what to do and what is best for me. Story 4. How do I stop thinking that my partner and friends are lying to me? I have posted this in another sub as well, so if you're seeing me for the second time, I'm so sorry. I'm aware what I'm about to ask is stupid, but I'm genuinely just seeing what others may have to share about their experiences in getting over this issue that I'm facing. To sum it up shortly, I have a very hard time trusting pretty much everyone in my life, but because my partner is the person I'm closest to and care most about, it does project onto him more than anyone. I can't take his word for things. I always think he's lying about finding me attractive, being happy, not having interest in other girls. It wasn't always like this, and I can confidently say he hasn't done anything differently to cause this switch in my behavior. I know who he is and he wouldn't try to hurt me or lie to me. But it does take a conscious effort that I struggle with to not let my thoughts overpower that knowledge, and it's been extra hard lately. I've hit a low in my mental health recently and have had to start attending regular therapy sessions again, get on wait lists for support groups, and hopefully start some medications again. I have CPTSD, so when my mental is bad, it's bad. I had a very neglectful childhood. Both my parents were on and off drugs. It wasn't stable. This has also caused a strain on many of my friendships and even my relationship with my mom. I also have always had low self-esteem. It's just so much harder to ignore lately. I am trying to make a strong effort to improve my mental health as well as hit the gym and eat better to hopefully boost my self-esteem and lessen these issues on my own, because I am aware that this is a me issue and it's not fair to ask him to do a million things to help me and expect it to work if I'm not trying either. That's just some context on my situation, but not totally relevant to the advice I'm seeking. What I want to know is, for anyone whose mental has overpowered their rational thoughts / what their partner is literally telling them, how do you stop doing this? What do you tell yourself or do to make you choose to trust this person? How do I allow myself to sit there and take what my partner and friends tell me at face value, knowing there is always a chance they aren't being honest? Comment. Hi. I don't have trust issues, but I do have severe anxiety, which can sometimes manifest that way. It's an active choice that has to be made. You have to actively change this behavior, which is extremely hard. The first step is recognizing, and you've done that, and I'm proud of you. I think personally, it's hard to choose to believe what they say is true, but in the case of a partner you have to, because what else is there in love if not trust? I read somewhere that imagine how hurtful it must be that your partner loves you unabashedly, unapologetically, and you tell them they don't. They bare their soul to you and you don't believe it. It's a combination of putting yourself into your partner's shoes and making an active choice to believe them. Have you brought this up in therapy yet? First thing I'd say is be kinder to yourself. This isn't something stupid you said in the beginning of the post you think it is. It's okay to feel how you are. I think you feel this way because of the childhood you described. You probably had no one to trust growing up, so you had to protect yourself by not believing anyone. I think that if you remind yourself of this in the moments that you realize you think your friend or partner is lying, and then give yourself grace and patience. Also wanted to add that you can rely on your intuition to see whether or not they really are lying. Something I'm still working on, so I don't have a clear answer of how to do it yet. But once the understanding/awareness of your triggers is clear, the anxiety should decrease and your intuition should be more clear, if it isn't now. You probably are. And I understand, I'm also learning the difference too.